Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones. We have a website.
There we go. 2, 1. Welcome to the show. Let's start out with you. Because what's happening with you is of great importance to so many people out there.
What's happening to how bad my sports teams are?
Yes, your teams are a horror show.
They might be.
See, you are a gigantic Phillies fan. How's that going?
Not so good. It was going great until Monday rolled around. Then last Monday started to hurt a little bit. Last Tuesday hurt it even more.
Gigantic 49ers fan. What is going on there?
They're asking me to recruit a secondary. I'm not sure what they meant by that, but they said our defense.
Your quarterback's not playing well.
No, he's not.
Let's get to that part.
He's not playing well at all. I don't fully blame him for the loss yesterday when a quarterback goes 28 for 32 and absolutely dismantles your defense. That's a problem. But yeah, no, he has not played well. He's 20 touchdown passes to one interception in his first 9 games. Last 3, he's thrown 5 interceptions to 3 touchdown passes. So definitely not playing well at all.
I think it's your fault.
It might be.
Because you were bragging in the press box about the Flyers the other day.
And they lost.
They lost.
They lost. Well, I had to go somewhere because the Sixers were 0-1, so I couldn't brag about them at that time. Now I can brag they're 2-1. But that was the only place to go aside from, obviously, 49ers weren't playing well for the last 2 games. I was worried about this game yesterday. You looked at what Jamar Chase did to Charvarius Ward when he played for the Chiefs twice. He just absolutely crushed him. So I was worried about that to begin with.
I would like to point out I was not worried about any game yesterday.
I was concerned about the 49ers game for good reason.
0, none.
I wasn't concerned about the early game, seeing as I somehow missed almost half of the early games. Yeah. I fell asleep at lunchtime and woke up at 2:45. Thought, oh, great. Hopefully nothing major happened.
I mean, you average 16 hours of sleep a day. I don't get it. I mean, so 49ers right now, bad. Phillies situation, bad.
Worse.
Flyers lost. What's next? Is Metallica breaking up?
Oh, that could be. If that happens, that's going to be. That would be disastrous.
All right, so let's talk about Saturday. As I said in the postgame, you can debate style points all you want because the assumption going in was that Penn State was 3 to 5 touchdowns better than this team. All right, that's the perception going in. But then you get into the game, and they hit a long touchdown play, and it's just they just make a good play. The second one is a breakdown, and it's a breakdown of communication. Whether it's one of 2 things, whether Johnny was blitzing and wasn't supposed to, or Johnny was blitzing like he was supposed to, and the safety didn't rotate over. Okay, and you end up with nobody on Donovan McCulley. After that, the defense only gave up 1 drive. And to Indiana's credit, it was a good drive, well executed. But except for the 2 plays, they gave up 1 drive. In the end, this is a game that showed several things. And now it's easy to point out what this didn't happen, that didn't happen. That's the low-hanging fruit stuff. But they won the game for several reasons, and a lot of it is how they handled situational football, which they practice all the time. It's not the overriding theme in a practice, but they practice it all the time, situational football. So let's go. We'll go through the various situations. Before I get to that, one of the keys going into the season, when people would ask me how good can this team be, I always pointed out the first element to me was this is the deepest team he's had. That was showcased on Saturday. You don't have Chop Robinson and Amin Vanover, but gee, you get to start tonight Dennis Sutton, who had a terrific game. Jamel Lyons played more. Zariah Fisher played really well. So that showcased the depth. Offensive line. Caden Wallace has to go out of the game. Drew Shelton steps in. All right? They were able to get J.B. Nelson back in to go with Venga Ioane and with Sal Wormley. So it showcased the depth. And when Harrison Wallace went out, you still had Malik McLean. You still had Dante Cephas that they were able to rotate in. So it and I know those guys, I think Cephas had 2 catches. McLean didn't have any. But it showcased the depth part of it because it came into play on Saturday. So now let's get to situational football and the showcasing of it, because it's a big emphasis for Penn State. Now, they practice other things during the course of practice, but they do set up situations. So, situational football. Let's do a simple one. Quick change. Well, for the first time this season, they had to go through quick change in a game. Off an interception. Yeah. And they will go through on quick change what they need to be thinking about, especially when the ball is on their side of the field. And they go through this. In the end, what was the result of quick change? A field goal, not a touchdown. Handle the situation the way they were taught. All right. So that's a simple one. Now let's get to middle 8. One of the reasons that James wants to defer, he wants the ball for the second half, is because he feels he gives him a better shot at winning the middle 8. So a team gets into its 2-minute offense, there's a 2-minute defense you have to play, which they work on all the time, 2-minute defense. So Indiana's moving. They decide they want to throw the ball. You know, some people assume they may run the ball at the end of the half. They want to throw it. They want to throw the ball. Well, they did it in such a way where Jalen Reed jumped a route, picked it off. Penn State was able to move down field. Then the holding penalty moved them back. But Alex Falcon still hit the 50-yard field goal. Penn State has the lead at the half. They then get the ball to start the second half. Right now, so in this sequence here, right, they scored 10 points at the end of the first half in the final 4 minutes, including the field goal at the end to take the lead. They then start the second half with the ball, and for the 5th time in 8 games, they start the second half with a touchdown drive. That's 5 out of 8. That's 63%. And they increase the lead to 24-14. Situational football. Again. Then you get to late in the game. And late in the game, 3 situations come up. Penn State gets the ball with a little more than 2+ minutes to go in the game. Was it 2:17, something like that? It's 2:20, somewhere in that neighborhood. There's a way that you want to start that drive. I mean, it's a 3-play drive. So the third play is the obvious play. But what were the first 2 plays? Getting the ball to Katron Allen, who was the running back at the time, on the first 2 plays. Right? Crisp, to the point, first down, okay, which then gets them out to the 43-yard line from the 25. Right? Because that's how they are taught to run this thing. Joe Montana was brilliant at it.
Yeah.
The Dwight Clark catch in the end zone to beat the Cowboys, quote, the catch. Watch the entire drive and the number of times he dumps the ball off to Ricky Patton on the drive. Yep. Right? It's just a lesson in how to do it. Yep. Okay, they're giving us this. We've got time. We've got timeouts. Yep. Right? Here we go.
Super Bowl drive, too, with Taylor. Started off dropping it off to Craig. Getting Craig involved.
Then they hit the big pass play to Jerry Rice over the middle. But same thing. The patience of what they give you, what you take, is on display there. Then they lined up, they put Dre in the slot, and Indiana was playing man coverage. It's what they wanted. It's what they wanted. And when they saw it was man coverage, okay, he knew he could take it to the sideline and had a chance to beat him. And the ball is a perfectly thrown ball, and then Dre does a great job of staying in bounds. They get the touchdown. But we're not done yet with situational football. Okay, next is, okay, you now have a touchdown lead. Your defense needs to situationally stop it. First play. Denied Dennis Sutton, big game. I don't know what they're doing on that side. But the tackle dropped down, and the tight end was the one taking Sutton. And it's like, okay, and he strips it, right? So the ball's loose. Now, at this point, you're taught to fall on the ball, like fall on it. And Akeem Beeman had stars.
I was going to say, when you're a defensive lineman, you see that ball like that. It tried to tell him to fall on the ball. That's not going to happen. They see the end zone.
But then Adisa tried to fall on it. Then he tried to fall it on in the end zone and didn't get it, and they get the safety. So in situational football, again, played it right again. Just like they played it right at the end of the first half, they played it right at the end of the game. But we're not done yet. Okay? The next stage of situational football, you know, even though it's a free kick from the 20, that they're going to kick an onside kick. Right? They decided to go, now again, this is from my vantage point on the west side. They put 6 to the far side of the kicker, 4 to the near side. They work on this all the scenarios all the time, whether he's going to fake it and go one way, or he's going to take it and he's going to kick it straight on for himself and dribble it, or is he going to try and go for the high bounce? Goes for the high bounce. Everybody seals off. Warren climbs up there, grabs it. Right? Again, working on situational football, they did it again. I'm not done yet. Now, you've got to close the game out. Okay? So they decide to bring in Bo Prabula. Now, why do you bring in Bo Prabula there? You bring in Bo Prabula because because throwing the football is not going to be your option. You want to make sure that you have the defense guessing who has the ball. Is it going to be the quarterback or is it going to be the running back? Right? Now, it's not like Drew can't run a quarterback draw. Obviously, he can. But Prabula is really good at it, and now you're off balance as a defense. He ran one, and then he made sure that he got it to Singleton and got him the first down. Penn State closed the game on its terms. Right? So all of these things, and a day that had a lot of frustration to it, and the fans were frustrated.
Sure.
They're frustrated with how they moved the ball. They were frustrated with the 2 big plays by Indiana. They were frustrated that Indiana was, quote, hanging around, which when you're the underdog.
Absolutely.
Right? When you're the underdog, you get the longer it goes, the more confidence you get. And when I'm looking at Penn State, for example, in the game, if you pick out a frustration, you're up 24-14. Get one more touchdown. Make it 31-14. Make it 3 scores and get this thing over with. And they didn't do that.
Right.
They didn't do that. Instead, Indiana was credit, gets the long TD drive. They get the takeaway. But again, on the takeaway, quick change, they give up a field goal, not a touchdown. And that was huge. But all these situations, they go over and over and over again. There are games that you don't need the vast majority of them. But they went over it. And they don't go over it once. They go over it during the week, and then they really go over it on Friday. One more time as a refresher or a reminder. And to their credit, when it came time to go through the situations of the game, situational football, Penn State was the one checking all the boxes in situational football on Saturday. All right? They may not have checked other boxes during the course of the game. That's obvious. Mm-hmm. All right? And again, we can deal with the low-hanging fruit. Okay? That's okay? Because if you're asking me, what's happening, is it correctable? Yeah, it is correctable. Right? You can correct the mistakes that they made out there. This is not a question to me of having to coach around a problem where you're trying to mask it. No, it's correctable. At least I view it as correctable based on personnel and so forth. But when it came time to win situations, Penn State was, if you look at the totality of the game, won exponentially more situations than I think the fan realizes, and these are situations they work on all the time. They work on 2-minute drills. They work on how to handle it all the time. They work on quick change. They work on onside kicks. They work on how to protect at the end of the half, work on how to protect at the end of a game. All right? They work on all that stuff as they go through it. So the big situational stuff that happens in a game, right, closing a game, 4-minute offense, closing a game on your own terms. Right? They checked all those boxes in the game. Now, if you're arguing that they should not have been in the position to have to run all this, that's a fair argument based on what Indiana has done this season. That's a completely fair argument. Nothing wrong. I'm not in any way, shape, or form downsizing anybody's arguments about how they got to that point in the game. Not in the least. I understand completely the passion of the fans. I understand that they're angry about certain elements right now. Jack and I certainly heard that repeatedly in the pregame show. Two of us are looking at each other like, okay. All right. Okay. And it's, but then you walk out of there and they won. So then you ask yourself, how did they win? Right? You have to ask, okay, That's a question that's not asked. Okay? The question is, why was it close like that at the end? That's the question that keeps getting asked. Why was it close? What were the problems? Okay? But in the end, you won.
Right.
So it's easy to sit there, I think, to find out like the issues as to why you got to that point in the game. But now let's look at the totality of the game and explain why they won. I haven't heard many explanations yet about why they won, except that Lambert Smith caught a touchdown pass on a long bomb. It's the totality of the game as to how they won the game, because they won all the specific situations that, for example, and obviously every coaching staff goes over situations. I'm just telling you, this staff goes over all those situations, and they checked all the boxes on the situations in the game. Working on 2-minute defense, working on 2-minute drill, working on winning the middle eight, working on how you make adjustments at halftime to then come out and win the first drive of the second half. Right? How do you then handle quick change? All right? How do you keep damage on quick change to a minimum? Did that. Okay, now you're in a tie game. How do you run a 2-minute drill from 75 yards out? How do you do that? How do you get it started? Right? How do you then set up a play like they had with that? How do you then handle it defensively when you take the lead? How do you handle it now when they have to have a free kick and it's an onside kick? How do you then handle it to burn the rest of their timeouts and then close it out with a first down where you close the game out on your terms? Okay, that's how they ended up winning the game, because when it came time to win situations which can turn a game one way or the other, they won those situations. Right? And that's a combination of how hard they've worked on it from a coaching point of view and from a player point of view, and above all, the execution by the players in that situation. The execution by the players in all those situations was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, does that excuse other parts of the game? No, of course not. But remember, Indiana is not South Alabama or Sam Houston State. Okay? I know they're having a tough time. I know they're having a tough year. Let's give their quarterback credit, Sorsby. The reason they picked him is the reason that Jack and I talked about in the pregame show with Brian. They picked him because they felt that, okay, good arm, but mobility. Good arm, but mobility. A good example was the ball that got snapped past him.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to go back and get it because he's a good athlete, picked it up. Penn State's pressuring him, and he was able to get the ball to Howland. And Howland put his elbow down before the marker, and so Penn State got the ball on downs. But it was that kind of athleticism by him. Total breakdown on the touchdown pass to McCulley. Total breakdown. They just flat out made a good play on the other one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think the safety's late getting over on that one.
Yeah, he beat him. Yeah, he absolutely beat him. Late getting over. Yep. That was a good play.
Right. I mean, it's just like watching Jacksonville and the Steelers yesterday. It looks like Joey Porter Jr. is the one that's beaten by ATN of the play. And that wasn't his responsibility. He had the short zone.
Mm-hmm.
It turned out he's the guy chasing him. It's the safety that was supposed to come over for the Steelers on that play and did not. Well, he started to, and it was late. He was late getting there on that play. It looks like Joey's the one that made the mistake. It was the safety that was late getting there, and now Joey was in chase mode, and it looked like he was the guy beaten on the play. So yeah, you give up plays like that. You don't want to give up any of those plays. Penn State has not been a team beaten deep this year. Right? And I think the only time I can really think of that they were beat deep on a play, I want to say it was the opener with Carter in West Virginia. And
that was a busted coverage.
And that was the same thing. I think they blitzed.
Yep.
They blitzed and didn't cover it up.
Right.
All right. And let's give Sorsby credit. He noticed they looked over and went, "Oh, can't get it over there to McCulley fast enough. Go, run." I mean, Terry Smith knows that. Terry Smith against Rutgers when he played. Against Rutgers and against
91.
BYU.
Yep.
Right? Was uncovered and scored two easiest touchdowns of his life. I kid him about that all the time. I said, nobody is better at running that play than you. Right?
Yeah.
But you needed Riley Thompson to have another good day. He did.
Mm-hmm.
They got the fumble. And again, they converted everything. They get the fumble recovery by KJ Winston, touchdown drive. They get the interception by Jalen Reed at the end of the half, field goal.
Yep.
They get the safety.
Mm-hmm.
That's 12 points off of that. Now, the safety technically is not a turnover.
Yep. Scored on the turnover on downs, too, which technically isn't a turnover, but still, took advantage of it.
But they took advantage of it. And, now Penn State on the season is 77 points off of takeaways. And I include the safety as a takeaway, right? Because it's an offensive play, it ends up in points. So, so on my chart, it's 77 points off of takeaways in 8 games. Not bad. I mean, that's almost 10 points a game off takeaways. And that's how you set the game up. Talk about complementary football. When Riley Thompson got the one and win in the end zone, it's the first touchback he's had this year. It's the first one. But on the punt, Jordan doesn't field it right. KJ recovers. They get a touchdown out of it. Okay, Reed gets the interception at the end of the half because, again, they're playing their rules, right? It's a 4-minute, 2-minute situation. They're playing their rules defensively. He played it perfectly, picked it off, first career interception, gets it back to the, to the 43, 44-yard line, something like that, right? They actually drove down to, the 20 or something like that. Then the penalty knocked them back, and Alex still hit the 50-yard field goal. Falcons. Huge. Then, of course, the safety at the end of the game. Again, we can go through issues. We talked about busted coverages. You still have to be better on the third and shorts.
Third and shorts, absolutely.
They were 4 of 9 on third and less than 4, and 3 of 9 on third and 5 or better. Because I think they were 7 of 18. Now 7 of 18 is a good day.
Good. Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's a good day. It's in the upper 30s. That's why I was talking to Ohio State last week. They said, look, they were 6 of 16 on third down. I said, it's a good day. Not a great day, but good. Upper 30s. 7 of 18, same thing. Right? It's upper 30s. It's like 38.5% or something like that. Okay. All right. That's good. That's manageable, serviceable. They were 1 of 1 on fourth down. So they took one of those 11 and still got a first down out of it. So in those 18 third down situations, they end up converting, technically with the fourth down, 8 of them. All right? And that's 44%. Okay. If I'm doing my quick math correctly.
Close. It's pretty darn close.
I forgot you're a 49er fan.
I did all right on the SAT math portion. That was many years ago. So I might have gone senile by then, now, but...
Yeah, but the problem is, every time you took the test, right?
Forgot to write my name and get the 200.
All you did was put down B.
Wasn't that old phone commercial where it was right down the center, somebody would see for everything?
I mean, even on your name, you just put down B. I mean, I'm telling you, it's a sad situation.
Even graded it and said, are you sure? Yeah.
It's sad. I don't know what you're doing. Okay, so you're sitting there going, well, there's Steve Jones taking the positive outlook and everything. Everybody's already rehashed all the other stuff. Mm-hmm. Everybody's rehashed everything. Okay, so I'm going to give you a different perspective as in the end, actually, why did they win? Mm-hmm. So I went through the situations that they won because it's a 60-minute game that had problems in it. It had some peaks, enough valleys for people to complain about, and enough valleys for the coaches to correct. Mm-hmm. But in the end, they won the game. Now, why did they win the game? So I just took some time here to explain why they won the game.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just, they have better talent. Okay. It's more than that.
Yeah. The other part of it also, you talk about the interception, how your quarterback reacts to it. Drew Aller throws his first interception in 300-plus attempts.
Yep.
Very next possession, reacts and throws a touchdown pass. I think that's something huge, too. I mean, you see quarterbacks league-wide in the NFL not able to do that. So I think that was huge, getting back off sudden change, getting that touchdown pass.
I watched a little bit on Red Zone yesterday of the Giants-Jets game.
No, that game set the league back 20 years.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man.
And they give to Steve Van Buren. And they give to Steve Van Buren again. He's a legendary running back.
Granted, the Giants are down to their third-string quarterback. Let him throw the ball.
Right. By the way, Steve
Van Buren, the former Eagle, right?
He was the star running back for the Eagles in the late 40s when they won back-to-back championships.
Yeah.
Including the famous, that nobody's around to talk about anymore, Snowball game with the Cardinals. Beat the Chicago Cardinals in the championship game 7-0. He scored the only. In fact, he almost didn't get to the game because of the
snow.
But that was like 1949, something like that. You can look it up.
It's probably around there.
But
because it was, I remember the Eagles winning the championships in the late 40s. There,
7-0 was the final. Van Buren scored the only touchdown. I was not at the game. I wasn't even born yet.
I was nowhere near born.
That's why I was looking at my classroom today, and I was explaining the Cincinnati Penn State game from 1986. I said, "This is before any of you were born." I said, and then I sat there and I looked at them. I said, and to be honest with you, this is going to be my 42nd season doing Penn State basketball. I said, I might have started my Penn State basketball broadcasting career before your parents were born.
Game I remember the most, 1948, by the way, 48 NFL championship game, 7-0 touchdown in the fourth quarter by Van Buren. Game I remember obviously the most about Cincinnati was the 91 game. That game was, there wasn't a Penn Stater in uniform, didn't play that game.
It was 1986.
Yeah, did not see that.
So last year, okay, let's talk about what is forgotten Like it's easy to forget when a team runs the table and wins every game.
Sure.
Georgia. Oh, they must have killed everybody. Hey, look at they killed TCU in the championship game, 61-7. Was that?
It was a blowout.
63-7,
Yeah,
65-7, something like that, right? Look at them. They're incredible. Wow. And the Ohio State game was really dramatic, but they won the fourth quarter.
Missouri game?
Over here in the back, do you remember the Missouri game?
Uh-huh.
Right? Of course nobody remembers the Missouri game.
I did.
Okay? 5 minutes to go in the game. Missouri's winning
the game? Sure.
Missouri's winning, and Stetson Bennett, to his credit, made a couple of big plays.
Sure.
Defense then made a big play. They finally put it away. 5 minutes to go in the game. Georgia's losing to Missouri. In fact, they got Missouri this week. But they're losing the game. This is going to be the big upset. They've got them. They've got them. Everybody forgets that game.
Sure.
When Ohio State won the national championship in 2014, okay, when they were leading up to the game, right? You know what really struck me? You know what nobody ever talked about? Nobody. I'm talking about national people now. That they had to win in double overtime here.
Yep.
Everybody has that game. So 1986, Penn State wins the national championship. Okay, and we all know in '94 the Illinois game going out there.
Yeah, sure. Down 21-0.
Down 21-0. They win. Okay, right. In '86, in a season where Penn State beat Alabama on the road, Notre Dame on the road, and Miami on a neutral field. So this is a great football team. Played a game with Cincinnati in Beaver Stadium. This is before Cincinnati, they were filler on the schedule.
Right.
Cincinnati in the fourth quarter in Beaver Stadium is winning the game. John Schaefer and company take over. He hits, I think, 2 or 3 pass plays, including one to Blair Thomas at the 50-yard line over the middle. They finally cap the drive when David Clark scores a touchdown. Penn State takes the lead. Late in the game. Now, this game was tied here, but late in the game, took the lead. Ensuing series, Cincinnati, Shane Conlon gets a safety. Trying to think how this game played out Saturday. Oh, they got a safety. Same end zone. Right? Because you have that game where you're like, when you walk out,
Every time.
Whew, okay. Right?
Any team's going
and guess what? That game is forgotten.
Sure.
Right? Nobody remembers that game.
No.
Hey? Nobody remembers it because they then went on. There were other games after that. They went down. It was let's see. I'm trying to think of. This is 2023, so this would be 37 years ago. It was 37 years ago last week, October 25th, the day of the ball goes through Buckner's legs. Same day, right? Penn State's ranked 5th, undefeated. Goes to Tuscaloosa, Bryant-Denny Stadium. Alabama, undefeated, number 2. Penn State dominates the game. One of the best performances I've ever seen by a Penn State football team. They win it 23-3. This is after they played that Cincinnati game.
Sure.
And then they went to Notre Dame and won 24-19.
Yeah, Notre Dame had the ball at the 10-yard line.
Bob White had the 2 big sacks.
Yep.
Incredible. Okay.
Tried to reverse Tim Brown, didn't work.
Okay.
Yep.
I want to say Berline was the quarterback.
Berline was their quarterback. Yep.
And again, they win those games. In the rear view mirror is that Cincinnati survival.
Yep.
Okay? That is long forgotten by Penn State fans.
Sure.
Right? Just like the Missouri game last year with Georgia was long forgotten. Like the double overtime game by Ohio State winning here over Penn State in James' first year.
Sure.
Was forgotten even that season. Oh, look, they beat Michigan at the end. Okay, good. What, for the 5,000th time in a row? Sure, that's great.
And that's any team. As you say, you look at Ohio State's national championship, the one they shouldn't have won against Miami. And Purdue, 4th down, get the big play.
Right, they got the big touchdown play. That was the one with Brent Musburger made the great call on.
Yeah.
I was listening to that game on the radio.
Yeah. absolutely. And
I was listening to the game on the radio. I was trying to think where I was traveling.
Yeah.
I was traveling to a basketball game, listening to it. I think it was late in the year, right?
Yep, it was late in the year. Yeah. Yep, it was a November game.
Yeah.
Yep. And
In
then,
fact, I think I was driving from Indianapolis up to Chicago or something like that.
Yep.
And
yep, that was their big one. Nebraska, many years ago, the one national title. That game against Missouri where the ball literally kicks up in the air in the end zone.
Yes.
and scored. Every team has games like this.
Because Matt Davidson's been their color analyst for years. So every time we see Matt,
I'll never forget that play.
Right.
Never forget that play. I was at Missouri.
Then there was Colorado 5 downs.
Oh, the 5 downs. Yep. Again. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Seems like Missouri's the victim on a lot of teams.
Yeah. I wonder.
I do remember the 5 downs.
You know what the funny thing is? If I'm Missouri, I think I've got some complaints here.
Yeah, I think so. Well, we mentioned them quite a bit here. I just thought of that. As soon as you said it, I'm thinking, boy, that's 3 times at least.
But there's always that game.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Now, people hate to hear the explanation, but you've got to back it up with a history lesson. Right? And then when then we give the history lesson, people will go,
yeah sure.
Okay, I see it. But, which I understand. I totally get it. I don't want an apathetic fan base. And I said that on the pregame show Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't have it. As a team, you can't have it.
I mean, there was a lot of questions and questioning on the pregame show.
Sure.
And look, Jack and I are going to
you understand it too, obviously. Of course you're going to have it.
And I said, coming out of a break, I said, how great the fans are.
Sure.
That they're all making their points. I said, because they care.
They care, exactly.
And the last thing you want is an apathetic fan base.
Apathetic fan base or a team to beat you a second time.
Right.
Really, basically, as a team. So you lose a game, you can't afford to lose that game again the following week. You can't afford to have Ohio State beat you twice.
I mean, Indiana, for example, has there's a core football fan base that's passionate.
Sure.
But it's not an expansive one.
No, basketball.
The vast majority of the Indiana football fan base is made up of casual fans, and for the most part, with all due respect,
absolutely, no,
they're apathetic.
Absolutely.
Basketball, no.
Huge.
Those same fans, those same casual fans that love Indiana, when it comes to basketball, are angry about it if they're not doing well, right? In basketball, right? Well, here at Penn State in football, the casual fan, not just the diehard, the casual fan gets angry when things aren't going right. Because they care so much about it. I want a passionate, engaged fan base, okay? Even if they're complaining, I want an engaged, passionate fan base because it means they care. Because I go enough places where I see apathetic fan bases. I go, okay? I'm the one that has the privilege of going to all these places, so you see everybody. Have you ever done a game at Texas? Yes. Have you ever done a game at USC? Yes. Have you ever done a game at Notre Dame? Yes. Have you ever done a game, right? Have you ever worked a game? I didn't announce the game, but worked a game involving Clemson? Yes. Okay? It was a Clemson-Alabama game, by the way. Right? Have I ever done a game in Tuscaloosa? Yes. Right? So I've been around all the places that have passionate, engaged fan bases. But there's also a list of them I've gone to where they don't.
Right.
Where they're not.
Yeah, there's a couple in the Big Ten.
Oh, no question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Northwestern. Again, the core,
first one I was thinking.
The core group at Northwestern.
Draw 24,000 a game at Ryan Field.
Right. But the core group at Northwestern that's really engaged, they're really engaged. But the problem is it's the core group is a smaller group.
Yeah.
And they don't get enough of casual fan, and they're like, they're not good. I'm not going to go. Even though, to his credit, that guy's doing a heck of a job this year.
Hey, all things
David
considered.
Braun,
oh, yeah.
David Braun,
no
with everything that has gone on, he has done one heck of a good job this year.
Sure has.
Really good. And, the question is whether they even think of retaining him. I have no idea.
Yeah. No.
By the way, I don't. Okay, Jack Ham and I have been doing this the last few weeks. Since the Penn State game, again, okay, you want to know how much money the two of us have gambled in our lifetime? Zero. Okay, so there's no...
Unless you count a scratch-off ticket, I have not gambled a cent.
We have no gambling interest at all. But we've been looking just out of curiosity every week as to what is the over-under on Iowa every week. So Minnesota was 30.5,
Yep.
30 and a half.
Mm-hmm. Didn't reach it.
Right? The final was 12-10, so
Yeah.
they got to 22.
Yeah.
So they missed by 8.5. Did you see what Northwestern and Iowa opened up today?
No.
Over-under, 29.5.
Oh, boy. Man.
I've never seen it like that. And to be honest with you, when they play Nebraska Thanksgiving week,
Yeah, that's liable
it
to
could
be
be
even worse.
a little bit lower. Because Nebraska's playing great
My
defense,
goodness,
but
they
they're
are.
struggling offensively. But yikes.
That's
29 and a half. Now,
That's bad.
Let's give credit where credit's due. We were just talking about fan bases. That is a really engaged fan base out there. They sell out every game. Their fans are into it. For the most part, their basketball fan base is pretty well engaged, but they're in the same boat out there basketball-wise that almost everybody else is in this conference. Not enough Saturday games.
Absolutely.
This is a big issue in the conference. I know you're trying to spread out inventory, and I realize Penn State's opening 4 games they're Monday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday, but that's done because of the football schedule. All right? They're trying to capitalize, especially the Friday night's a football schedule.
Yeah, and you're not having to move anything really last
you
minute.
You don't want to sit there and have a game on Saturday because you don't know what time the game's going to kick off. All right? So, but when it comes to conference games, no. Okay? It's not just a Penn State problem. I remember 2 years ago, Penn State played a game at Iowa. And I said, hey, I just was talking to somebody. I think it was the morning of the game. It's shooting around one of the Iowa people. You know, you go to these places so many times. You know these. You know a lot of people. You know, just said, hey, how's attendance been? He goes, it's been good. He said, but today we're sold out. I said, oh, good. I said, any particular reason why? He says, yeah, this is the only Saturday game we have this year. I said, what?
Jeez.
I said, well, Penn State has only had one. I think their Saturday game 2 years ago was Nebraska, maybe? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
They only had one the whole season. They said, yep, same boat. I said, and Illinois, 2 years ago, you know how many Saturday games Illinois had?
Not a one?
0. Okay. You want to know how Michigan State had?
Michigan State probably had 6.
They had 6.
Jeez.
You get 10 home games in the conference. 10. Idealistically, they're supposed to be split up 5 in the middle of the week, 5 in the weekend.
Yeah.
Idealistically.
Right.
They played 6 Saturday home games. Like, really? Illinois had none. Iowa had 1.
Michigan
Penn State had 1.
Michigan State had 6.
Right. And again, when's the best time to play college basketball?
It's definitely Saturday.
It's on a Saturday afternoon.
Absolutely.
Right? And they've got all this stuff. I remember years ago they had implemented that Friday night game, which I don't think they're really doing.
They're not doing it much anymore.
It used to be an FS1.
It used to be FS1 game.
FS1.
Yep.
And you know what they told us? Because Penn State was on that thing twice. Once here and once out at Northwestern. And I was talking to somebody. I said, okay, why the Friday night thing? And they said to me, well, it's a weekend. I said, it's a weekend? I said, excuse me, most people on their weekend don't have to get off work to go to the game.
To go to a game, absolutely.
And fight Friday night, now we're talking about Northwestern here because I was talking to the guy at Northwestern. I said, they're fighting Friday night traffic in Chicago. We have a rush minute here, so I'm not that. It's a little different. Right? But, gee whiz. I know that you're trying to fit TV. Fit TV slots because college football and college basketball are TV shows.
Right.
Okay? I know other sports think they're a TV show. You aren't. you end up on TV.
Right.
But, I mean, this isn't every, it's a TV show because it's an every game situation. Every game you're fitting into TV windows for football. Every game you're fitting into TV windows for basketball. And so, and that's, why you sit back and say, to me, the whole point is I understand you have to play some Sunday games. I got it. I understand that. But, man, I don't understand why you're not loading up Saturdays. Like, take 3 games out of the weekend.
Yeah.
Especially when they get to the 18-team thing.
Right.
How are you going to do that? How are you going to spread all that out over TV windows? I mean, they're trying to have as few conflicts as possible.
Sure. You can even make the Saturday game. That's the time you can play an 8 or 9 o'clock tip too, if you had to. That's the other part of it. You have these Wednesday night games at 9 o'clock. How many? And you have the diehard fan that can't make that game.
Right. Exactly.
That's the other part of it.
Right. And then I always love okay, so this week's game at home. It's a Wednesday night, 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Literally.
Okay.
And that's
over here in the back.
Yeah.
I said, do you know how long it takes to drive from Harrisburg?
Yeah, that's Harrisburg.
And then drive home.
Yeah. That's
drive home.
Absolutely.
Game's over at 11.
11 o'clock.
Time to drive home.
Press conference 11:30. Drive home. It's 1 a.m.
But I'm talking about the fan.
Yeah. Or even so, even
at
the
least
fan.
You're getting money. I mean, you were able to afford that beautiful T-shirt.
That's right. But as the fan, even the fan though, getting out of here, it's 11:30 to get out of here. It's 1 a.m., 1:30 to get home. There's no reason for that. Well, there is a reason. It's called TV, but there should not be much of a reason for it.
Oh God, that's funny. I don't know. So now I have Maryland. Talia Tungaviola can make plays.
Yeah.
Jay Sean Jones, very good. Caden Prather transferred from West Virginia over. They threw a little wrinkle with him this weekend. They ran him in a reverse for the first time this year. He got 36 yards on it. Good running game. Roman Hemby, McDonald, power back in Littleton. They got Brown in for one play. I know they're trying to redshirt him, but they did get him in for a play against Northwestern. Corey Deitch, the tight end, who switched his number now to 2 from 84, is actually very good, and you need to keep an eye on him. Good player. They've given up points. Yeah, and Northwestern's a good example. Northwestern's not a high-scoring team.
No.
But they scored 33. They got 4 field goals out of it. They got 4 field goals. So they ended up with, in the game, 4 field goals, 3 touchdowns. And it wasn't a turnover fest. I mean, they did turn it over twice, but one was at the end of the game. So it wasn't one of those, Northwestern has had short fields. No, they gained yards. In the game. And the game's at 3:30. It's a gold out.
Oh, okay. It's gold this year. I think they change color every year.
Yeah.
Had the blackout where the seats were blacked out by the end of the game last time.
So we'll end up doing a blackout.
I was going to say, there was at least a blackout. I remember that one.
Well, no, but I mean, overall, blackout, a scarlet out.
Scarlet, yeah.
A maze out. I've done stripe outs on the road. Orange out at both Illinois and at Auburn.
Iowa do a blackout one year, too.
Yeah, Iowa did a blackout.
Yeah, I remember that.
Nebraska did a red out.
See red, yep.
Then This will be a gold out. Somebody said to me, "What do you think of all this?" I said, "I'm completely out." I said, "There's only one white out."
I was going to say,
there's only one white out on the face of the earth.
And there's a reason networks say, let's have that game.
Everybody is trying to, in their own way, use their color scheme to duplicate it, and they can't.
No, you can't.
So,
for some places, you got to have fans and seats. They don't.
I mean, they'll have fans and seats.
Well, yeah, they will for this game. Yeah, sure.
Will, but, so there you are. Well, great T-shirt. Looks like it's
not so great team.
Did you use that to wash the car?
I might have. I'm not sure.
I'm glad it's got some good usage. Back tomorrow, otherwise known in Spanish lingo as mañana.
Mañana.